Stress is quite a common occurrence during my PhD, but I've always found out that if you have a meeting to discuss your stresses with your supervisors, they can be really supportive. The university can be really supportive. Discuss with your friends. Have a good time with your friends, and usually you can work things out.
Even if I've felt stressed in my PhD and how I manage those stress, yes, I have. Especially the high point was when my supervisor left. After 2 years into my PhD, I was totally depressed. That's the truth. I was depressed, and I wanted to leave the university. That's the truth. I started looking out for universities in Canada. Started looking for people that could supervise me, but I didn't get. I went to student well-being. It was really helpful. So, and that was how I still stayed back and continued. It was a very trying period.
Have I ever felt stressed doing my PhD? Is it too much to say probably every day? Almost every day, but in different ways, and sometimes only for a moment, and sometimes for whole days, and sometimes for whole weeks. But the stress isn't forever, and normally I recognise that the stress is as a result of trying to grapple with something or trying to figure something out. And I know that once I've figured it out, I'm going to feel better for it. So sometimes in order to get through it, I step back from it and actually I have a complete break. And sometimes having a complete break and not trying to force the answer or the solution actually means that I have that brainwave in the shower or when I'm at the gym. If that's not working, then I think the best thing to do is to ask somebody. And there are different people that I ask. So sometimes I might ask my peers who are also doing PhD research. Sometimes I might go to my supervisors. Sometimes I might go to an external mentor who's working in that area and might be able to answer a specific question. If I can't always remember what it is that I need to do, I also will write down what things might help solve this problem. Then I can go back and look at it and think, oh, actually last time I had a problem similar to this was what I did, so maybe I can try that again.
So there were times in my PhD where I felt very stressed, very, very, very stressed, and there were a few reasons for this. My biggest source of stress in the past was that I didn't manage my time very well. And of course, it got to the point where I set myself a deadline, or my supervisor set me a deadline, and it was coming up to that deadline, and I realised that I didn't come as far or didn't complete as much work as I wanted to, and that would be a great source of stress for me because I felt like I didn't meet expectations. I think that was the biggest source of stress over the past 3 years or so. I think the way I dealt with stress and I'll help prevent it was speaking to other people, other PhD researchers, other PhD colleagues in the office, online, anywhere, and actually realising that all of our journeys are so different yet so similar in so many ways, that even though all our PhDs are so unique and so different, we're all going through very similar challenges and problems, and speaking to those people and having that encouragement from other people going, I've gone through this too, or I'm also going through this, or I haven't gone through this but I completely understand how you must feel or how difficult it must be. It really, really helped.
I think having a good support network to help you deal with the stress, preferably someone that understands what you're going through. Kind of friends and family back home, that's brilliant, but it really does help to have someone in a similar boat who can appreciate the small things that tip you over the edge, or why you've come out of that meeting crying because they've probably done the same the week before. It's just having someone around to talk to that understands what you're going through, and to make you feel that your stress is warranted. What you're going through is a big process, is going to get stressful, and you're not going to fly through it. You will face challenges, but having people that understand what you're going through has definitely helped.
To overcome my stress, I mostly talk to my friends here in the university. So basically PhD fellows who are suffering like I am, and they know what I'm going through, and their advice or just their company is very useful.
Yeah, I think I have felt stressed during the PhD. The stress has come from not always knowing what I was doing, feeling quite new. Here at Derby, I've always felt quite at home. I knew a lot of people. I knew what I was doing. I enjoyed studying here. But when I came back to the PhD to do the PhD, the dynamic was very different, and I wasn't quite expecting it, and I found that quite stressful. It's quite a lonely road. It's quite isolating at times. There's only you doing that piece of work, so I found that quite stressful. Not always knowing what I'm doing. Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing more? Should I be doing less? Is it any good what I've done? It's all these doubts. So the way I overcame that was, at first, not very well. I lost a lot of sleep, did a lot of crying. I was upset. I talked to my husband and things about it and my family, but not everyone understands unless they're on that road or they're doing that journey. They can't always, they will sympathise, but they can't really empathise. So I think it's only over time and meeting some people in the PGR community that I feel has really helped, someone to have a cup of tea with, someone to talk to, who understands, and perhaps just being able to offload a little bit, as well as my supervisors. They've been great and they've been a great support. I can talk to them, I can go to them with any issues. So when things did get a little bit tough, I did go to them and they were really supportive, and I felt I sort of overcome it by sharing it with others. Holding it in, keeping it to myself was not doing me any favours. So I felt it was better to share it and be open and honest, and I felt that lessened the stress and helped me get back to onto the right path.
Excellent. But just getting that fresh air and scenery and saying hello to people along the way and things like that is refreshing and rewarding. And even a simple walk just to get the blood flowing, get the ideas going. Stress. I wouldn't say I've ever felt clinical stress, anything like that during my PhD, but being stressed during certain aspects, meeting deadlines and things like that, yes, a little. The main one recently was, over these last few months, was the lack of interest in participants that really wanted to participate in the study. They were happy to participate in the selection phase, but those who were suitable for an interview phase, it was very difficult to convert them, to recruit them to go through to the interview phase. So again, it was a problem and a puzzle, and it was quite stressful because I didn't anticipate that.